Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk. Today we're going to bring you a gameplay video. I know some people have been asking for gameplay videos, and it's been really hard for me to do them just because of like timing and doing it over Discord and all this other stuff. I don't have like the setup physically to do it like I want to. I'm going to be working on that soon. But I record a couple gameplays. I'll be posting them over the week. Some are wins, some are losses. This first game right here, I went against an Earth Briar with my friend Breezy. Really talented player, plays a lot of different heroes. Breezy normally is a Viscerai main, but has been toying with Earth Briar and some of the new Everfest cards. So we played this game, and we'll go ahead and start the match. I started the recording like literally 10 seconds too late, so I had already Kadachi'd once. So forgive me for that. But this is my first turn, and me Kadachi'ing and just starting out the turn. I chose to go first against Briar because I didn't want her to Arsenal. It's really hard with Briar right now because she can't make a ton of Earth tokens and she doesn't have those plunder runs, but she does have the ability to first turn maybe create one Earth token while also arsenaling. And I still want to give him that capability, so I went first. I could have Arsenal past here, but I tried to just eke through a little bit of damage, see if he wanted to get rid of any cards from hand. I could have let him not cycle his deck, but I chose to try to just push some damage. As you can see right now, already done a solid 10 damage turn. He did choose to just dump his whole hand. It was a risk I was willing to take for this, to try to push through maybe like 5-6 damage and then Arsenal pass. But because even if that would have hit, I would have just let it go. And then Arsenal pass. But eke through a couple damage, not ideal. He cycled his hand, but we're testing this out with the new Briar and how this goes. So as we're going through the games here, I'll kind of give some commentary on some key points that I thought were big in the match. And as we're going through it. This game was at like 12 o'clock at night. So if we have a little bit of slow play, or something's going on with that, please forgive me. Wanted to try to make sure that that every play was being made properly. So he comes in for 7 here. It's not fused. It's just an Autumn's Touch with a Weaver. Kind of an off turn for him, to be honest. But overall, not terribly horrible by any means. Also, sorry if his side of the cam wasn't 100% on for this one. I tried to move the cams around as good as I could to get a really good view, and his isn't quite where it should be. But as we go through these gameplays, we'll do more and more. These will get better and better quality, guys. I'm gonna do my best for you guys to get you guys some gameplay with Katsu. With this build right here, I think I end up just taking the damage. Right now I'm just mapping out my turn, kind of seeing how much damage can I push back. Because if he's dealing 7 damage and I'm going to come in with, let's say, only like 4 damage, then it might be efficient to block with 1 card, to kind of, take some of the chip damage out. But I decided that it was worth the turn. For this matchup, I sided in 3 Flick Flacks, I sided in 2 Command and Conquers, and I think a 3 Flick Flacks as well, just to kind of help out a little bit with some of his taller turns. So I'm coming here just with the Kadachi. He takes it, obviously. We almost always take the Kadachis. Go through here, Kadachi again. Just keep trying to eke damage. He doesn't want to block with cards from hand with Kadachis if he can't help it. He decided to do this. What I was trying to do with the double Kadachi strategy early is really try to get his equipment out of play as quickly as possible. He's not using Skeleton, but he is using Grasp and Arknight Skullcap. So he does have a mini fridge for his equipment, so I'm trying to really get that equipment out early, and that's what you see I'm doing here, choosing the Lightning Strike with Go again, hoping that he uses a piece of equipment from hand, or a piece of equipment from his board, and just try to get that out as quickly as I can. And again, with the new Briar Errata's no plunder run, he has to really think about blocking efficiently. Since this wasn't a mass trigger, he took the damage, which was fine for me. I was okay with that. Obviously, I can keep pushing damage, so I decided to Whelming Gust Wave here. I kind of make a risky play here, and it ends up not working out for me. But he blocks with a Skull Cap, only blocking for 2. And I went ahead and Ancestral Empowerment and then I passed priority back to him and then snapped it. I had no cards in hand, but I was going to draw, and I was hoping I would draw into like a Fluster Fist or something where I could keep pushing damage on him. I wanted to use my snaps early just to try to get some pressure, but sadly I drew into a Razor Reflex here with no cards in hand, one card in Arsenal. I can't Razor the card I just played, so I just kind of decided to Arsenal. I tried to make it act like it was a decision really when it really wasn't. Try to play some mind games with them. Again, that snaps play, a little risky, not the best value for Snapdragon Scalers, but again, it's 29.33. If I can draw into a Fluster Fist or draw into Rise and Neath anything that can get me a little bit of or get really lucky and draw into McGinty, I could have been pushing some damage. But, sometimes you swing and you miss. Made a risky play and, paid for it. But I do have a Razor in Arsenal, which is really nice. So here he comes with the channel turn. I kind of got a little lucky this game. His channel turns weren't as crazy as you would think, which wasn't a hit on him as a player whatsoever. It's just kind of what he drew up during his channel turns. So he's coming in with the Arcanic Shockwave for 7. No go again. So he's threatening to go again with Suckless Suede Hides if he wants to pay for that. But then he's just going to come in with Rosetta for 2 and 2, which, is it worth it to do Suckless Suede Hides here? He could have chose it, but he wanted to keep the Pulse of Candlehold in his hand, obviously, for fuse potential and for pitch next turn, or possibly his Arsenal and have it for next turn. So that's what he decided to do. For me, I decided that since this is a 7, power attack with no really on-hit effects, now for me it's just more of, how much damage can I put out next turn, which is what I ended up doing. I was like, okay, I'm going to take 7 damage, 8 counting the Arcane, and, try to swing back for him. It's similar to like a Rhinar matchup where it's just kind of like both of us aren't really blocking a whole lot. He does make that Earth token, which does help him a little bit. But now it's on to me. Only down 4 life in here. Also, one thing I was doing during this game is I have Scar for Scars in my deck. And similar to how you play around your life with Skullcap, I'm playing around my life a little bit with Scar for Scars. If I can just barely go under his life total by taking damage and turn on my Scar for Scar go again, it really takes wide turns into extremely good wide turns, which really helps, which is what I did. I took damage knowing I had a Scar for Scar in my hand. Now I have 4 with go again, whereas if I would have somewhat blocked, I probably wouldn't have. So that was my thought process. And here I'm just checking to see. I'm going to end up using a Katsu trigger, and I just want to check in. It's early, and there's not a lot of stuff in my graveyard, but I still wanted to check and see how many Fluster Fists had I used, how many Whelming Gustwave have I used. Just really trying to make the most of my Katsu trigger. He ends up full blocking this, which was really interesting. For me, it's not a bad play by any means. It was just an interesting play. I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting him to block the 3rd attack, but it is going to threaten mass, so I understand why he blocked it. I came in with the Torrent Tempo for 5. He's already committed a card from hand, and he's committed a Grasp. And he has a Channel Mountain Heroic on the field, so he doesn't want to dump his hand because Channel Mountain Heroic's just going to pop. So he decides to take the damage, which was a smart play. You kind of try to make the most of your Channel Mountain Heroic turns. I then decided to Katsu trigger here, and again, I was looking for that Fluster Fist here. And I go and get it, I believe. Fluster Fist, banish that. So I have 2 decision points here, right? I can Kodachi and then Fluster Fist to try to eke in a little bit more damage, or just play Fluster Fist outright. And we'll see what I do here in a second. I actually forgot what I did on this turn. I believe I Kodachi'd. I should have Kodachi'd. So again, here's mistakes as a player, right? What I should have done is I should have Kodachi'd since he blocked Scar for Scar, but not Fluster Fist. Actually, no, this is why I didn't Kodachi, because I had a Razor in Arsenal. So I Razored it just to push through a little bit more damage. Pushing through 4 because he did block with Skullcap. And again, right there, so you see what happened. Like he was at 29 health. I took 7 damage, but then I dealt 12 damage with him blocking with 1 piece of equipment and 1 card from hand. So that was really beneficial for me. Actually, 2 pieces of equipment, 1 card from hand. And for him on his channel turn, like that's really good. He still has 2 cards in hand, 1 card in Arsenal, and the card in Arsenal is a Pulse of Candlehold. Um, so, not ideal. I want to try to force more cards from hand, but, not too bad. And now looking at it, the worst that's going to happen is probably one attack and then Rosetta. But he actually comes in with a good turn here. You'll see what he does. He ends up coming with a Ruinblood Incantation, which is one of the new cards from the Everfest set to help, create a little more arcane damage next turn. It's also going to start his Briar double non-attack action trigger, which you'll see in a second he actually does. He used Tunic to pay for it as well, so he didn't have to commit a card from hand, which was huge. That Tunic really helped make his hand go fully. He then used his Pulse of Candlehold to create that lightning. Him grabbing 2 cards from his grave really isn't that important here. It helps a little bit, but really he was just trying to get that lightning trigger for his channel turn. And again here, what I'm thinking is while he's looking at, I know it's in my hand. I forgot off the top of my head right now, but now I just kind of got to see what he comes with. And then with channel turns, like his channel's going to blow up this turn if he wants to use Rosetta because he only has 2 cards in hand right now. So with that, I know that his channel's going to pop after this turn no matter what. So now it's just a calculation of how much damage am I going to take here, and what's it going to come with. Now he's using Blue Spellblade Assaults, which is an interesting card in Briar, but I'm glad that he's testing out new stuff. It's really unique when you see different stuff like this and people testing out different things. He creates 2 rune chants, but the attack itself isn't that big for me. It's only coming in for 2 physical. He does create some rune chants on the back end, but I'm just really thinking about Rosetta coming in for 6 next turn. With channel, it's coming in for 5, so it's still a decent size attack, but it's not as big as it could be. And with only coming in for 5 with no on-hit triggers, I just take it. And then I know he's going to come in with Rosetta again, and I'm not going to block this either. Coming in for 6, so I take this. So 11 damage turn, which is definitely really good, but comparatively to what you can do with Channel Mount Heroic, it's not as crazy as it would seem. I just kind of, again, with Katsu, when you have games like this that are very aggro-based and you're choosing not to block, you have to start doing a lot of damage calculation and like, okay, how much damage are they dealing me? How much damage am I going to be dealing them? And that's when you decide, is it efficient to block or not? Because with Katsu, one thing, if you're still listening, when it comes to blocking, sometimes you have a dead card in hand, so to speak, right? So if I have 3 reds and a blue, and one of them's a Torrent of Tempo, one's a Leg Tap, and one's like a Rise and Knee Thrust or something, right? So like none of those cards really go with each other. Sometimes I'll block with 1 card, right? Because tutoring with Katsu is not really going to do anything for me. So I'll block with 1 card, and that way I'd chip a little bit of damage off of what I'm taking while also not hurting my turn as a whole. Sometimes you have cards that just don't work right. But I had a Scar for a Scar in hand and a Surging Strike yellow. So I played the Scar for a Scar first to try to force a card from hand, which I did, which was great. Exactly what I wanted to do. He blocked it out fully, which sucks a little bit, but so I couldn't tutor. But now I have a 4-power Surging Strike coming in. I did break the chain to do this, but I wanted to be able to have as many cards in hand to help push damage. So he ends up taking this because he doesn't want to commit cards from hand. He wants to try to come back a little bit here. This is the one turn where he could have blocked out, and he talked about, I think, after we were going through the game ourselves, that he should have blocked the yellow Surging Strike. But it would have forced, likely it would have, with a 4-power attack, it would have forced an attack out of hand to block with and his Tunic, which doesn't feel good, right? Or his Grasp. And, looking back on, he could have committed 1 more card with Grasp, but he wanted to be able to try to keep tempo. And this is one of the things with Katsu. It's really hard. If you can, that's why I put the yellow Surging Strikes back in my deck and I'm testing those out, because it really puts your opponent, if you can present the McGinty line like 3-4 times a game, it puts your opponent in a really bad position. He has a hard time deciding what he should do and what he shouldn't do. So coming in with a whelming here, and he really wants to block the whelming, but he decides not to. And this is an interesting decision. This is probably the turning point of the game. Right there, probably should have blocked the whelming. But, he's trying to create tempo. He has a good hand. He has a good turn coming up. And he's like, you know what? I'm just going to see what he comes with. Because I don't have Snapdragon Scalers. So if I don't draw into a go-again attack, he knows not much else is going to happen because I already used my Katsu trigger. So it's definitely a risk he's taking. But once he sees the blue or the red Soul Beach Strike coming in for 4, if it hits go again and I have 1 card in hand still, I'm going to be pushing even more damage. He wants to try to prevent that. So I believe, if I remember correctly, he ends up blocking out here. So he could have blocked out the Whelming Gust Wave. I still would have came in probably with another attack again. But so either way, really, whether he blocked or not blocked, it didn't really matter. He ends up blocking with Tunic and another card in hand. So from that hand, it was really good. I ended up, for literally without paying any resources at all, because I had a Heart and Cross Trap, I pulled 2 cards from hand and made him use 2 of his equipment pieces, including his Tunic. So you can see the power of Katsu. I mean, that right there was an 8, 12, 16 damage hand while using no pitch. Just think about that. I forgot what my arsenal was here, so apologies for that. I think you might see it. So he makes a rune chant with Runeblood Incantation, and then plays Stir the Wildwood for 5. Now, this is an interesting mechanic because the Arcane's coming in first. If the Arcane hits, then Stir the Wildwood would hit for 7. I believe I had a 3 red hand here, so I didn't want to pitch for Arcane. It was just kind of useless because I'm going to take 5 anyway. So I just went ahead and took the full 8. 8 here. Because again, damage calculation, I'm seeing how much, or 7 it really is what it was. He goes back, and then for me, it's really just trying to push damage now at this point. Try to get him low to where I can start Kodachi locking him. I believe I had a 4 red hand here, and it's the reason I didn't block at all or pitch for Arcane. So I leg tap here with a Torrent Tempo. I think this is the double leg tap line that I had, I believe. No, this is a leg tap into a Command and Conquer. So this is what happened. I had a Command and Conquer and Arsenal, and then I drew a leg tap, Torrent Tempo, Command and Conquer, and an even bigger than that. So I drew an instant and 4 reds, and I had a Command and Conquer and Arsenal. But, even, again, Power Katsu here, right? Even with a 4 red hand, I'm still dealing 10 damage. He ends up blocking out the leg tap. Because I've done my job here in this game and got him to use all of his equipment, which is really important. So now he has to commit cards to hand. He didn't want me to be able to tutor Katsu because I would have gotten a Rising Ethos for 5 with Go Again. So he just takes the Command and Conquer because he doesn't have an Arsenal. He doesn't want to be able... He can't fully block out because he's just going to give me full tempo with a full grip with Katsu, which is not good. So he made the right decision there with blocking the leg tap out. He just... Unfortunate that I had a Command and Conquer, to be honest. So now, with him only having 2 cards in hand and having 4 life, unless he just has an amazing, amazing hand, I'm in a good spot right now. He only can put on so much pressure. Looking at that and seeing the Lightning Surge as a fuse, I know that the most he's going to come in this turn is 9 damage, which he is presenting lethal here. But I take the Arcane, and this is where I accidentally dropped a Flush Fist. I had to drop a Flick Flag. Luckily, I got a Flick Flag in my hand. Really good. Only had to commit 1 card from hand, and it's not a card I'm going to need anyway. So you go ahead and he Lightning Surges here. And I end up just using my breaking skills here and taking 3. I don't want to get below that 3 point because if he has a Vexy Malice or something crazy in hand like that I haven't seen yet, I just want to make sure my life total is high enough to where I don't die to Arcane, especially with his Runeblood Incantation coming up. So yeah. So I pitch here, Kodachi for 1. Now I'm just going to start Kodachi locking him. And I have a Razor in hand, and he does not block. And so this is where Katsu's at his finest. When you get below 4 health, you have to play around Razor constantly, which he didn't. And I ended up Razoring and winning the game off of Razor. But yeah, really, really good match, really great match. It's interesting with Briar now because Briar, I'll stop the video here. Briar has to really try to block efficiently a little bit more. He didn't quite hit some of the turns he wanted to hit. And both of us have kind of experimental builds when we were using different cards. He's using some of the new cards from Everfest. Spellblade Assault, just trying to make a little bit more arcane damage focus with the channel build. instead of just like the straight level channel. But that's what the game's all about. The game's all about, trying new things, trying new cards, and seeing where things go. So it was a great game overall, but it kind of shows you the key takeaway from this, if you're still watching, is, with Katsu, when you're in an aggro-based aggro v aggro matchup like this, you have to be able to manage your life total. Understand how much damage they're presenting to you, what on-hit effects are coming from that damage, and then also, finally, how much damage are you going to be able to put out. And then you basically decide how effectively to block based off of that. So that's where I would go with this. That's kind of the moral of this match. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this match. I'm gonna try to put more up like this, and try to improve the quality of it as well as time goes on. I really hope y'all enjoyed watching some of it and how the Katsu goes into play. Hopefully you learned something from it. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.